Well, welcome to my shop again this morning. A customer request a miniature bust of the famous detective Sherlock Holmes. So I got this little outline and I modified it a bit so that it would work with a scroll saw cutout. And I'm going to use for the bust, it's going to be a two-dimensional bust, but it's going to be rounded over on the edges so that it has some shape to it. And I'm going to use a piece of maple here. It's got a nice little grain in it, little effects, which would be nice for the pattern. So the first thing we want to do, of course, is take this and put some tape on it. This is a real hard rock maple, so you want to get a nice sharp blade to cut it. And I'm going to be using my blade of choice, which is the number 5 reverse tooth. And we'll cut the pattern out. Now, this is going to be a small bust, nothing too fancy. What we're going to want to do is when we get down to the pipe stem, it's a when we get to the pipe stem, it's a bit of a sensitive area, so you want to maybe thicken it up a little bit with a pencil. I could do that on the pattern, of course, but when you're cutting it too, you might want to just think a little bit larger so that it attaches to his mouth here. You don't want the thing breaking. The hat, of course, is fairly simple, and the rest of the shape is fairly simple too. So let's take this and let's put some glue stick on the back. Elementary, my dear Watson. That's what Sherlock would say, I'm sure. And we'll sort of center it on here. And we'll take this over to the scroll saw. Actually, what I'm going to do is drill just one entry hole here. I'm going to cut all around this. Fairly simple cut. If you're new at cutting, of course, can be a little tricky on the curves, but take your time. You should be able to work it out without too much difficulty. What we're looking for is a silhouette of Sherlock. Not a lot of detail. Ought to work out pretty good. Just remember, when you get to that stem of the pipe, you want to thicken it up a little bit. Even if I expand it on the drawing, you might still want to, depending on what kind of wood you're using, just take a feel of it as you're cutting and make it a little thicker. Alright, I'll meet you over at the scroll saw. Okay, we're at the scroll saw. We got our number 5 blade in there. I'll loosen that up and put a little Sherlock here. And now we're ready to make our cut. Okay, we've cut the piece out nicely. Might want to point out to you, by the way, that every project that you get can sometimes be developed into another project. This is a nice rectangular piece of heavy maple, what you could do is make this into a paperweight if you wanted to, for example, if you want a decorative ornament of some sort. And instead of cutting it straight at a 90-degree angle, just tilt your blade a little bit to the left or the right, a degree or two, so that when you try to take him out, he won't come out all the way. He just stops there. And you glue him in there, and you'll have a raised three-dimensional character in this block of wood. This one, of course, has been straight up and down, just going to come right out. But that would make a nice little decoration. Could also stand it up on end, maybe a 3D image of Sherlock Holmes. That's a possibility. There's many ways you can use patterns, so don't be afraid to experiment with them. Well, in any event, this comes out of here as we want it to come out. And we'll just peel off this paper and the tape. Okay, I used a piece of maple, as I said, and got a nice little grain in it. Looks pretty good. You can stand it up like that, but we're going to put a base on this too to make it a little better. First of all, what I want to do is take it over to the sander, the sanding mop I should say, and give it a good round over all around it. When you sand this, if you're going to use something like a sanding mop, be careful right here with the pipe, because that could pop right off. This is a nice heavy piece of maple, so it's got a lot of strength in there. But you want to be aware of that if you do use that. Otherwise, sand it carefully by hand. Okay, working this over on the mop sander has given a nice rounded edge here all around. It's nice and smooth. And of course the little grain pops out even more on the hat and the side of the face of Sherlock. And what we're going to do is make a little base for this now. I found a little piece of torrefied walnut. And I'm going to take that over to the router table, and I'm going to use a round over bit on here to round these edges over, make it a nice little platform for our head. Okay, we're going to take this little piece and round it over here. Just be careful of your fingers if you're using a router like this. You don't want to manicure your nails too quickly. I got it raised just a little bit above the edge here. It's a quarter round over bit. And we're going to try that, see how it does, and if we have to raise it a little more, we'll do that too. So here we go. Okay, came out pretty good. It's nice and round on the edges. I'll go smooth this all out on the sanding mop again, of course. If you're not familiar with using a router, I would suggest you stay away from this technique. Probably take a bit of sandpaper. You could round those over with sandpaper just as easily, and you won't have any danger of losing a finger here. You don't want to play around with this if you're not familiar with it, so keep that in mind. Okay, we've got both pieces done now, and what we're going to do is put a little bit of CA glue on the bottom here, and then I'm going to also combine that with some wood glue, because I'm not going to be able to clamp this down right away. I want it to be able to hold it down for a little bit until I get the glue really settled in there. So let me just move this around a bit. You can see what I'm doing here. Okay, we'll take a little bit of this glue. I'm only going to be gluing it right on the ends here. take this now and put it down here. Just sort of eyeball it so it's nicely lined up. And we'll just leave that there for a few moments. Lost you in the picture again. Bring that up here. There we go. And we'll let that harden up a little bit. And I'm going to try to clamp it from the top and see if we can get it to hold down there. It's an awkward shape to clamp, but it's possible. It's holding down pretty good, so what I'm going to do is take this little clamp and get a little more top on it. Nice bit of pressure on there, and we'll just lay it down there for now. Let it dry. We're all done with that. We'll dries up. We'll come back and take a look at it. Okay, while we're waiting for this to dry, I might mention that if you'd like a copy of this pattern, now that you follow along with me, you might like to make one either as a paperweight or as a bust or as just a little table ornament. You can click the link down below to take you to my Etsy store, and you can download that pattern there. And along with it, you'll also get a bunch of other little patterns with it too, other Sherlock Holmes patterns. I'll try and keep the similar theme with the packet. It's going to be a grab bag thing, of course, but you might find them useful and store them away somewhere someday. You never know. Somebody might come along and say, "You happen to have a little pattern of a Sherlock Holmes figure?" And you say, "No problem." You take that out, cut it up for them, you're all set. On the pattern, with this pattern, you also get a couple of other little figures here you can cut out and use them whatever way you want to. If you're a first-time purchaser, you'll also get another big pack of patterns that I'll send you via email. Okay, so we'll let this dry. When it's all set, we'll come back and we'll put a finish on it. Okay, we've got the glue all nicely dry. I'm going to spray it now with this Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra Cover Satin finish. If we can get it to clearly show here. Okay. And we'll give it a couple of coats of this. Okay, we'll let that dry now, and once it's dry it should be pretty good looking. Okay, we finished up this little project. Came out pretty good. I think my customer will be happy with it. It's got a nice bust of Sherlock Holmes on it, and the base is nice dark contrast to it. Contrast is always good in some projects, so you want to look into that very carefully. Well, I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please click the thumbs up down below and help my channel here, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Thank you very much for watching.